Now it's time for overtime. I'm gonna get another drink.
Interesting. It's interesting that two of us, I think, went through it ahead of time and marked who we thought would win, and then you guys just played it by ear week to week, and it came out pretty close. Despite that, I don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
I ended up giving us one more win doing this live than I did when I just ran through it earlier.
Well, that's what
I don't
was
know which
hoping
one
for.
it was, but
I was hoping people were going to look like when we got on, we were going to look at it and we're like, now that we're looking how it shakes out, I don't give them that or whatever.
I'm glad that we quickly switched to doing everyone talking about one game at a time, because that was blowing my mind where we were going when we were going. Who'd you pick for this game? Who'd you pick for this game?
You mean where I switched it to a team by team every week as opposed to week at a time? Yeah. After about the third one, I was like, yeah, this is starting to get a little caught up in the minutia. We need to fix this up.
nice job on the spreadsheet, brother. That was just the right way to do it.
I figured that made it a little more visual and we could actually take a look at things.
Hey, we ought to definitely, you guys should think about coming to the Panthers game, man.
What's the date, John?
Hold on. I got it right here.
It's week 11.
'Cause I'm thinking I might have to do that.
At Carolina, Sunday, November 21st. That's the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
Pencil me in.
Well,
I'm gonna have to look into that.
I'll put it this way. If you guys decide you want to come and do a thing, I'll cover the tickets. I'll get us tickets.
Well, now you're just speaking my language, buddy. Now, one thing we did not talk about, week 2 against the Giants is a Thursday night game. Week 12 against the Seahawks is a Monday night game. Week 16 at Dallas is a Sunday night game. We have 3 primetimers.
And there's at least one that was going to be flexed. I was looking at that too. And there's
Philly, it was the game Sunday, January 2nd, week 17 against the Eagles. We host them. I think that one is TBD. According to the ESPN, it's a 1:00 game, but I don't think it's set. I think they're going to flex that out probably.
I don't think either Dak Prescott or what's Philadelphia's quarterback name? I can't.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
I don't think Hurts or Prescott finished the season. That's my bold prediction.
Just because of injury?
Yep.
Prescott better have his wheels right. He really does, because that's how you're going to attack that team, right? You're going to go after him, see if he can move.
I don't know that the offensive line, I haven't really dug into it, but I don't know that the offensive line at Dallas is going to be just a whole lot better than they were last year. They get some guys back, but the guys are all injury prone at this point in time. Then none of them finish seasons anymore.
The quarterbacks?
No,
or our
offensive line guys.
Oh yeah.
Well, everyone talks
it's
about
so
how they
much of
spent
a-
all those first round picks on the O line, but that was like 6 or 7 seasons ago they did that.
And they paid out the yin yang, and it's so much of a crapshoot. You get rolled up on. Zeke Elliott cuts the wrong way and he takes an ankle out. Like there's so much. It's attrition along the O line just because it's in the trenches.
Yeah, the only ridiculous depth Dallas has is at wide receiver.
Yeah, but then you also run to a point where you only have one ball.
Well, yeah, but what I was saying there is that's the position that they could afford to lose a player or two and still remain competitive potentially, right?
Yeah.
But who's backing up Zeke these days? I don't know. Some guy.
No, oh my God, he's actually pretty good.
Is that Pollard? Do I have the right name?
Pollard. Yeah, it's Pollard. He's not bad. But again, it's going to be the O line. What was that, John? I missed that. Yeah.
Oh my
Freaking
God.
Zeke. I hate that.
The poodle.
Wow. See, the good stuff comes out in extra time. That's where John
That's
starts
overtime,
making
baby.
facial expressions and giving people hand signs. And
This is why I said for 11 freaking podcasts, I was like, I just need to restart the recording when we get done because the good conversations happen now.
So what happens when Mark has to bail in the middle of one of these, though?
Whatever. That's why it's overtime. It's not.
Okay. All right.
All right,
Hey,
brother.
so I read on Twitter today that people that do podcasts that are longer than 30 minutes are retarded or something.
I saw that.
I'm like,
I
well,
saw that.
I
It's
said,
like,
good
well, I
luck.
guess our podcast sucks, and
Wasn't
everybody
that
can eat
PG
my shorts.
Did that weird BG obsession Twitter guy say that? Was that where that came from?
No, he replied to it though.
I just said it's easier said than done. I mean, the reason why they're long is because people get excited talking about their football team. That's the way it is. So
We
Well,
could see.
if we aren't picking topics that lend themselves to half an hour. We could do that, keep it much more limited, but we're kind of taking expansive topics. Anybody who's going to listen to this is going to care enough about what we're talking about to
I
stick
think the
with it
ones
for a
during
while.
the ones during the season, I think they'll be shorter just by definition. That's just
Well,
I
unless we win, in which case we're talking. We are
In
talking.
theory, we could have gone week by week by team and cut it down to 20, 25 minutes each. But the whole point of the podcast was to go through and have a whole season in review so that in real time we can be looking and saying, all right, well, you have them at 10 and blah, 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 blah. If they don't want to listen, change the channel. Who cares? You're not hurting my feelings any. We're not doing this to become a fan ambassador.
Face it. At the end of the day, we're doing this for us.
Absolutely.
we just turned down the chance to be on sports radio. So
Well, no
we don't-
comment.
we don't have
Yes.
to do anything we don't want to do.
About 6 hours ago, I got the text from John asking if I was going to training camp.
I will say we predicted after the last debacle in the wintertime that we'd never hear from him again, even though he said that, he'd reach out to us again. So I appreciate that he did that. And it's a lot of pressure doing that thing, man. I don't know how Derek feels, but
It was
Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Was he talking about us going to camp and being
Yes.
like boots on the ground there
Well, he didn't
for an
say-
interview?
he didn't say you have to go to training camp. He just asked if we had anyone at training camp because that's what he wanted to talk about. And I'm like, no. And if we're not at training camp, I don't really know what we're going to say on the radio that's going to be of any particular, interest to anybody. So
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to sit at home and record something for the guy. I'm not going out in the field as an unpaid reporter for some guy on the radio in Richmond.
well, if I was going to go, because I actually talked to John about this before we jumped on here. If I wasn't so busy, I would have tried to get, I thought about trying to get credentials for BGO and going down and covering the team. I'm not driving down there and standing in the gallery, but if I can get press credentials and be on the sidelines, hell, I'll put up a couple articles. Who cares? And we can run a pod on it. But I'm not doing it for him. I'm doing it for the board. And it happens that I'm there and he wants to interview me. That's fine.
So just as food for thought, if you ever want to do that, I get emails from the PR department saying, if you want credentials for training camp, submit it by this date. Here's the email address. I mean, we can submit. I just need to know ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm okay. I got to do that once. I'm good. So I will
that's
defer.
That's how I am about it, Mark.
Well,
Yes,
and that's what I
actually.
mean is I would only be doing it for the experience. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting
Exactly.
paid for it.
And you should, because it was a blast.
But
But
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to be a beat guy for bgobsession.com. I just don't have the time in my life for that. No
really.
offense, but the board doesn't pay me enough money to be able to support my family and not work.
You mean you're not going to do a blog talking about your trip down there and what drinks you had with members of the staff before the
Sure,
game?
if it's
and all
funded
that?
by the board, I'd be more than happy to do that.
I would love to pull up the thread that I posted when the very first ES experience with anything at the park, and it was mini camp. It was the very first mini camp that Joe Gibbs returned to. And I got to ask the first question to Joe Gibbs, which that's probably the highlight of my fandom.
Wow.
I mean, I forced my way in there. And I said,
Yeah, I'm
and my
going
voice
down
was-
in
I
a
have
blaze
I have
of
a recording
glory,
of it, man. My
buddy.
voice was quivering. I'm like, from a fan's viewpoint, we've been wandering in the desert for 20 years. What can you promise us is going to change during the second Joe Gibbs era? And I swear to God, he spent 10 minutes answering me. I mean, I think he was like that. I just gave him an opening, but that was a lot of fun.
Well, that's just Joe Gibbs for you. He's that kind of a guy.
He
Wow.
was all about the fans, man. At least he always talked at that game anyway.
Well, I don't know. After we lost to Seattle in 07. 07? We lost to Seattle. Yeah, the year Sean Taylor died.
Yeah.
I was at the welcome home. It was like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
It was raining, cold as all hell because it's freaking January. The 3 buses pull up into Ashburn. The front one stops, and then you see some movement. Here comes Joe Gibbs with his entourage holding umbrellas. He signed every autograph for every fan that was standing out there in the rain.
Yeah.
The rest of the buses went in. Some players were kind of waving, but Joe Gibbs, he walked by. The one interaction I've ever had face to face with Joe Gibbs was that night. And I looked at him and I said, Joe, we're going to see you next year. And he did the giggle, right? It might have been 10 days later he announced his retirement. I take full blame for that. I'm sorry.
So you're to blame for that.
He didn't like the cut of your jib, Derek.
Hey, he signed 2 autographs and gave me one of his signed Bibles. So apparently he didn't hate me either.
He was always he's just that guy. He's what you see is what you get. He always was that way.
I think maybe more so than any coach we've ever had. Gibbs understood that, kind of like guys serve in the government at the pleasure of the president. NFL coaches kind of serve at the pleasure of the fans. Actually, for that matter, so do players, right? I mean, it's our money. And I think Gibbs always understood that the fans wrote the checks. It may have had Jack Kent Cook's name on it, but if the fans quit coming to the stadium, Joe didn't have a job anymore. And I think he just got it more so than anybody.
So our goal for next year is to do a pod with Joe Gibbs.
Hey, he would
Not
probably
even
do
kidding.
it. He would probably do it.
Yeah.
There've been a couple rookie, like Caden Stearns, the safety out of Texas that I talked about as a sleeper. He put up on Twitter the other day. He said, I want to talk football. Who's got a podcast I could join? And I almost reached out to him and I was like, you know what? He's not a member of the team.
Who's he?
By the way,
who did he
can I
get drafted by?
Who did he get? Minnesota? Was it Minnesota? No, Broncos, Denver. By the way, for the
Patrick
first time,
Ramsey's. Sorry.
well, I was gonna say for the first time in forever, we don't have the worst primetime schedule because the Giants play Washington on Thursday night. Then they play at Kansas City on Monday Night Football and at Tampa on Monday Night Football.
One thing I was going to look at is I meant to circle the out of division games to see which team had the toughest non-conference game.
Washington.
It should be Washington. We won the division last year, so we've got to play the other division winners. That's why we've got Buffalo and nobody else does.
And Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking at in terms of how we think they're going to play this coming year, but
Sorry, Mark, what were you gonna say?
I have no idea. I forgot already.
we're talking
Something
about
Patrick Ramsey.
Oh,
My
I,
guy.
I've still got Patrick Ramsey's brother's phone number around here somewhere. I can get him on the pod.
I feel bad for Patrick.
He never got a fair shake.
I've never seen a "Where Are They Now" on Patrick Ramsey. That'll be fun to do.
Back
Hey,
in
we could do
Louisiana.
I'm just brainstorming here. We could do a 1 or 2 minute "Where Are They Now" on old Redskins.
That might, I swear we could probably get some people on here that like former players that nobody's,
Oh yeah,
who else is talking to them?
we can. 100%.
Berlin
Depends on the
Biggs.
player.
Manny Sistrunk.
That's right.
I don't know. I can think of some guys that I think would be interesting. Nick
Mosley.
Giaquinto.
Nick
Mark
Giaquinto, brother. Yes, sir.
According to Wikipedia, Ramsey works as an operation manager and partial owner of his father-in-law's construction company, Lincoln Builders Incorporated.
There you go.
Billy fucking Kilmer. We all have a beer.
Is he still with us?
Yeah. Somebody
Yeah.
posted a picture of him at a bar that they had a nice shot.
Ooh, that had to have been ugly.
Billy's
You-
got to be about 90 now, right?
Mhm.
90,
He
95.
probably had his own chair. He probably had his own
Can't-
stool.
Still can't throw a fucking spiral at all.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
like the Keith Richards of the NFL. He was old back when he played for us.
Yeah, but you know, he may not be able to throw a spiral, but Charlie Taylor can still catch that shit. So,
By the way,
let's-
we talked about the schedule a little bit, but here's an anomaly I will never understand. We play for our first preseason game, we play at New England on Thursday, August 12th.
Make sure you flush. Oh, sorry.
Then we play Friday night against the Bengals on the 20th, Saturday the 28th versus Baltimore, and then our first game is September 12th.
That's weird.
14 days between our final preseason game and our first regular season game.
that is it like that for every team this year?
Yes.
Well, you
And-
get
and
everybody
yet they
rested up.
added So what? We're playing what into the middle of January?
January 9th is week 18. We
I
have two
wish they
games in
would-
January, the 2nd
I
and the
would-
9th.
I wish they would eliminate the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. To me, it's just too long, man. Like back it up.
I don't understand the 2 weeks before the regular season starts. Like the Giants, their final game is August 29th and their first game is September 12th. It's 13 days. Why is there 2 weeks between the final preseason game and the first regular season? It said
I'll tell
there's
you
just going to be
why.
a 2-week bye week there.
I'll tell you why. Because they don't want the Super Bowl champion to have to play Thursday night on 5 or 6 days rest.
True.
That's not how they want to start the season.
That's true. That's probably really that might be it. Because Tampa plays at Houston on Saturday, August 28th, and then they open the season hosting Dallas on Thursday, September 9th.
I'm pretty sure that
Right.
preseason, the last preseason games have always been Friday nights. They don't play them on the weekend before
That's
the
what I thought,
regular
too.
season starts. But
And usually the weekend. Well, you know, the other thing is they kind of want to avoid Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. So there's gonna be a 13 to 15 day window between the last preseason game and maybe not 13. There's gonna be, we can count it. There's gonna be a 11-day window between the final preseason game and the open of Dallas versus Tampa Bay.
All right, so totally off topic, but
How many podcasts can we
Derek
get in
said-
that window? Sorry.
Derek said Tampa like 4 times in the last 3 sentences, and for whatever reason, it just jumped up and reminded me. Has everybody seen the news article about Coors melting down the ice in Tampa Arena to make beer out of?
yes,
Yes.
I saw that.
Thoughts?
What?
Do we have thoughts? No, John's lost. All right, so they're going to.
You haven't heard this?
They're going to take the ice out of the rink in Tampa that they won the Stanley Cup on
For the
and they're
Lightning,
gonna
the Tampa
brew
Bay
beer with
Lightning.
it.
Yeah. I would drink it in a heartbeat if it was the Capitals. I'm just gonna say it right now. If they
better
did that with the Caps,
They better
Look at John-
purify
John
the shit
thinking
out of
about
that
this.
water.
Are they going to
Get in.
add like a little vial of Tom Brady's sweat as well? I mean,
do you realize what beer is? It's literally mold. So what are you talking about purify? Like,
I want to at
Wow.
least start with some clean water, my friend.
we make
Well,
it. We know what it is.
start
You
with
know,
clean water.
They're gonna
Hey, if
boil
it comes
for at
out of the
least 60
sewer-
minutes, Mark, it's going to be clean.
All right, all right. So you all are lining up to buy this shit, is what I'm hearing.
Oh hell
No,
no!
not for Tampa.
Okay, all right.
If it was Washington, I would do it. Right out of the Stanley Cup, too.
Fair enough.
They piss in that.
They
Anyway, I figured I'd see what I really wanted to see what John's reaction was as a fellow brewer. I was like, that's got to be.
I think if it doesn't have a little essence of Tom in it, then I'm not interested.
tell me. Well, it had nothing to do with the Bucks. It was the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay. Well, I thought it was okay. I got you.
Tell me you wouldn't eat the grass off RFK if we won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I
Smoke-
probably would.
smoke
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
baby.
All right, so and just for the record, speaking of beer, for the very first time ever, I brought beer back from Virginia just so I could have a local beer
What'd you get?
while we did this tonight.
Yeah, what did you get?
I'm drinking Franconi and Keller beer from Port City.
Port City. Okay, down in Alexandria.
Yeah,
That's a nice brewery to go to. They've done a nice job there.
Hey,
One of
next
my-
time you come up, go to Devil's Backbone.
That's nice too.
Devil's Backbone is really nice. Here's my problem with Devil's Backbone. They're now owned by AB InBev. And while I don't have a problem with the beer they're brewing, and I don't have a problem with AB InBev, I have a problem politically with where my money is going and what it gets used for.
So they're trying to usurp craft breweries by buying them up and assimilating them, and isn't that kind of what's going on?
They assimilate, yeah. They're buying up specific craft breweries in large markets with the idea of being able to artificially hold the line on price using that craft brewery. So if Devil's Backbone is selling all their 6-packs at $9.99 a 6-pack, no matter what anybody else does, you've got a craft option that's cheaper. And so it's holding that, it's pulling the craft line down closer to what their premium beers, and by premium I mean Bud Light, because that's Bud Light and Mick Ultra are considered premium beers by AB InBev. They want to maintain the distance between the price points. If it's
So you're telling me I'm never drinking another Devil's Backbone again?
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, Derek. I still love Devil's Backbone beer. It was my go-to for years when I came home. Now I come home and I drink Port City. I drink Heavy Seas.
Heavy Seas is good. I just had a Tropicana tonight, actually.
Yep. I brought some of that back to a couple of friends down here, and they're all like gaga over it. They're like, where did you get this, and how do I get it? And I said, you're SOL. Sorry, not happening.
All right, you knuckleheads.
All right, buddy.
That's my cue. I'm out of
All right.
here.
All right, bud.
Love you
Have
guys.
a good week, guys.
See ya.
We can keep talking beer if you wanted to. Oh, John jumped off too.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, I guess that's on my cue. I gotta be up in the morning anyway, so that's probably a good excuse to jump off. So
Yeah. Because for you, I keep forgetting. For you guys, it's 10:15. For me, it's just 9:15. But
yeah, next time you come up, we gotta get together for a drink or something.
you know, Mark and John and I have been saying that for years, and I get up there, and Mom's got so much stuff to do around the. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely want to. And one of these, what I'm thinking about, once I get, I've got to come back up after I finish treatment, because Mom's gonna. I didn't say anything to Mom when I was up there, but I figure I'll
Here,
come
hold
back
on,
up
time
once
out, pause.